Hello, this is Tony Kelly on Birmingham's Breakthrough TV, Our Health is Our Wealth show. I have the pleasure of introducing in my studio today Hilma Lawrence of Wolverhampton. And before she says anything, and I am going to welcome her, it was my very first guest, Michelle Hemmings, who got in touch with me and said, Hilma Lawrence has a story to tell and you need to have her on your show. And I thought, okay, when I saw some of the stuff that came about Hilma, I thought, yes, highly recommended Hilma. So welcome to the Our Health is Our Wealth show, Hilma.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Now, let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start is from the sound of music. So I'm going to leave the floor to you to tell us about your early upbringing, your childhood, and your schooling, and your parents, and brothers and sisters, all of that jazz. So over to you then, Hilma.
Okay. My parents came over in the early 60s. From Jamaica.
Right.
So they came from St. Elizabeth and Springfields. And they came over to here in 1960 and they worked hard. I remember living on top of an Indian shop in the 60s. During that time I had measles and I had mumps and I had chicken pox. Not in one go.
Okay.
I am 5 of 5. My mum had 5 children. So I'm the last one.
The baby of the family.
I'm the baby.
Okay.
Yes. In the school, I love school. I really love school. I love the teachers at school, and I love going to school. I didn't qualify for any other subjects. I left school a little bit earlier than normal, so I didn't qualify. So yes.
But that hasn't stopped you from getting on in life, and we'll come on to that later.
No, it
in
has
the
not.
interview. It's not the be all and end all that you mentioned the words you didn't qualify. Life is a journey. It's a learning
Absolutely,
experience,
yes.
and you've proven from what I've seen and heard about you that yes, you can progress on.
Absolutely.
But thanks for that upbringing. Now I'm going to talk a bit about, because it's Our Health is Our Wealth. That's the name of the show. You mentioned you had not 1, not 2, but 3 childhood illnesses.
Yes.
Measles, mumps, and chickenpox.
Yes.
So the gods didn't help you in that regard, getting all 3. I remember having 2. I didn't have mumps, but I remember having 2. So, having had those 3, has that given you some advantage in terms of, I'm sure you are a mother and a grandmother?
Yes, I am.
We'll come on to how many children you have and grandchildren, but have you then passed on any information to them about making sure they get vaccinated? Because vaccinations sometimes in some communities, and this includes the black community, is a no-no. There's some people I know who won't have any of these vaccinations at all. How has that been for you?
I think when my 2 youngest ones were like young, then we had them individually, but now they've got what you call an MMR one.
Yes.
And then I was told, asked if I could use it on my children, and in one go, and I did say yes. But I think it's best if you research it yourself, and if it's good for you to give to your children, that's fine. If it's not, then that's fine. It's up to you to research to see if it is good for your children.
So you made sure that your 2 youngest children,
they already had it before it changed to MMR.
It had it before it changed, right?
Yeah.
Because for the benefit of some viewers, because this program, Birmingham's Breakthrough TV, goes across the globe.
Yes.
So MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then what about? So how many children are there, Vilma? How many children do you have?
I have 5 children. 2 girls and 3 boys. Yeah.
So 5 seems to be the norm, because your parents had 5 of you, but you being the 5th, the last one of the 5.
Yes.
You ended up having 5 children.
Yes.
And may I ask, how many grandchildren do you have?
6.
Oh, well. Not a 5-a-side football team then. It's gone.
Yes.
One's a reserve. Okay. So, yeah, so you understand, and I like where you said, Vilma, and that's important to mention. People need to do their research.
Absolutely.
It's important. Don't
Yes.
just and go to the tried and tested websites, of course.
Yes.
Not just any social media website which will give you fake, false, phony information. But
Absolutely.
research has to be done.
It has. Definitely.
That's
Definitely.
good. So, all right. So we've gotten a bit about who Hilma Lawrence is. Let's move on. Hilma,
Yes.
how have you coped during this lockdown? We're in the midst of this pandemic and lockdown. Tell me how you and your family in Wolverhampton, how have you coped with it all?
Well, I continued working anyway because it was just a normal working day for me, going to work and just coming home. We go for me and my husband we just go for nice walks, you know, round the woods where we live. So we just got a little bit of routine, just to have him come out of the house as well and go for a nice walk and come back in. Yeah. So I was working all through the pandemic, and still am.
Okay. And for me, I am impressed, and I love the fact that you're doing walks, green spaces and parks and the woods and so on. You're not having to pay money.
Absolutely.
You just go out for the fresh air, and you enjoy, and you're in touch with Mother Nature, and that's wonderful. And I say to so many people, because I'm in the health and well-being field, as you know, it's important to keep mind, body, and soul. If you're able to, fit and able to go out for walks, I'm pleased to hear there is somebody doing that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, just take me through when you have these walks. How do you feel? Tell the viewers and listeners, how do you feel when after you've had your walk and come back home with your husband?
Yeah, we walk and talk, and then we come back home feeling good and refreshed, relaxed. When we come home, we're very relaxed, and just chill.
Right.
Yes, because you've gone out and you've breathed in the fresh air.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So let's then move on to your occupation. Take us through some of the jobs you've had and then where you are now.
Okay. I've been in the health profession for over 34 years. I used to do caring for the elderly, and I was a support worker for the elderly as well, but they've got more abilities. They can go anywhere they want to go, but they just need a little bit of a help. I work with learning disabilities and challenging behaviours with young adults, and I've worked with children as well with genetic muscular dystrophy.
Wow, that's a range. So I would imagine, although if you
and homeless families.
Right, although there's a love and a care for people with various disabilities and so on, and yet another person that I'm interviewing. So although you left school with, you said, no qualifications, surely you would have had to have gone on training courses to...
Yes, to do in-house training, so we can get our diplomas, NVQs, NVQs level 2, 3, and you can go on to do more NVQs or diplomas. And team leaders, I've done team leader in business, and other different qualification in-house, what you've got to do, and mandatory ones, and some what you want to do, dementia care and all sorts you can do.
Right. And for the benefit again of those listening abroad wondering, what are NVQs?
It's like diplomas.
National Voluntary Qualifications.
That's right,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So you've turned your life full circle and made sure to invest in education and do in-house training in order to get to where you had within your profession. So at the moment, where are you now? What in occupation-wise?
Well, right now I'm doing domestics, and I love it. You know, it's keeping the place clean and tidy for in the residents' homes, in the resident nursing home.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the resident nursing homes, that I don't want to sound panicky here, but the residential nursing homes, Hilma, have taken a very, very bad hit with the pandemic.
Yes.
I hope they're giving you the PPE and the necessary equipment to protect yourself and the residents who are vulnerable as well.
Yes.
Where you're at, are they able to have visits from anybody, or is that one of the homes where?
We're in lockdown. Unless it's end of life care, they can
Mhm.
have their visit the family, but it's in lockdown.
Right.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you yourself are making sure you're well protected from this
I am
dreaded
so
virus.
protected. I am
Right.
so protected. Yes. I
Right.
wear my masks all the while. You know, PPE all the while. Gloves, like
Yeah,
I wash my
right.
hands.
Right. Okay.
I still keep my distance.
Yeah. Yes. Now, I want you, Hilma, to tell the viewers and listeners about your health journey, because Michelle, who I had on as my first guest, and I mentioned her at the beginning of the program, she had a lung transplant.
Yes.
You've had some health issues, which I think you are more than willing and wanting to share with viewers.
Yes.
So I'll leave the floor to you to tell us about that and where
Okay.
are you at.
Okay. I have had breast cancer. 2012, I found out that I had breast cancer. When I was working for the young people with learning disability and challenging behaviour, one of the boys grabbed hold of my breast and squeezed it and turned it around and bruised it. But I just kept an eye on it. You know, I knew it was bruised, just kept an eye on it. And one day, about a few weeks after, my nipple was inverted in. The same nipple was inverted in. So I went to the GP and I explained to GP my nipples is in and that. She felt me around my breast, and she rang up the hospital straight away, booked me in for an appointment for the consultant to see me straight away. I went there the Friday. The Monday I was in the hospital getting a biopsy done. They missed the first biopsy because I think they missed the gun they used to grab hold of the lump. They missed it, so they had to do it under a scan. So they scanned me, and then they put 2 needles in my breast to numb the area, and then they just extracted quite a few cells which were cancer. I had to go back into hospital and have a little operation, an MRI, to find out what stage it would be, the cancer would be, because 1 and 2 is good, 3 and 4 is like,
yes.
yeah. So I was stage 2, which was okay, but it still had to be done. So a week, like this week,
Yes.
it was 7 years ago this week that I had my first operation to remove the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes clearance as well, because if the cancer's got into lymph nodes, they had to do a clearance. So they did that, and then a week after, which is the 5th of December, which is next week, I had my right breast removed. Yes. It was all right. It was difficult at first because A, you've lost your breast, but B, the cancer on that breast is gone. It didn't go to the breastbone either, which is good. So they asked if I wanted to have reconstruction. I did say yes as a knee-jerk reaction, but I said no. No, I didn't. I didn't want the fuss. I didn't want it. Then January of 2013, I had the Hickman line put in, a line so I can have my chemo through the line instead of my small veins.
Okay.
I had 6 bouts of chemotherapy. The first 3 was okay, but the last 3 was very difficult because it was a new drug on the market, Taxotere, I think it's called, and that was really hard because I turned my nails black, my toenails black, lost my hair, but I didn't mind losing my hair. It's not a problem. Didn't mind losing my eyebrows, but one thing I did mind losing was my eyelashes, because you need your eyelashes.
Yes.
So I went through the chemo, all that. I went to the hospital once because my levels went low. I was in there not for long and then came back out. Went back in after the chemotherapies are finished, and I caught C. diff.
Wow.
Yes, I caught C. diff, so I was in hospital for a week
Mhm.
because your immune system is so
That's
low.
Mhm.
You can. I've been at the hospital
Infections.
every week,
Mhm.
so I'm catching something.
Mhm.
So I'll be careful what I'm eating as well.
Right.
You got to be
Mhm.
careful what you're eating. Whatever you're eating, make sure it's home cooked
Mhm.
rather than going out and bringing it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So after my chemo and all that and the C. diff, I went back to work. I changed my shifts around. I didn't want to be a senior anymore. I just want to do the night shift and be quiet and just do my job and go home.
Mhm. Less stress.
Less stress,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Mm.
The boy that I looked after, he saw me without no hair, and he was looking really sad, like but that's another story.
What? Let me just then. That child. Was any accident at work form filled in, or any
Oh
issues taken with regard to that child? Was.
no, he's a young adult. No, nothing happened. Nothing, because that's his nature is to grab.
Yeah. Right.
And to grab, and because he's communicating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And him not realizing he didn't know better. It's
No.
not as if it's right.
Yeah, it's not as if it's done intentionally. Yeah.
Okay, I've interrupted, but carry on.
It's okay. It's okay. So I went back to work, and then a week after, my mum died. My mum, they couldn't get hold of my mother. I did the night shift. I did a course after the night shift, and got home tired, and they're getting calls saying they can't get hold of my mum. So I'll close back on, went down my mum's, and all of a sudden that me and my husband looked at each other at the same time and looked back on the road. We knew something was wrong.
Wrong.
I always had the key to the mum's. Got through the key, Dosset box was on the floor, which is her medications, and the curtains were closed. My husband said, "I'll go upstairs before you," so he went upstairs, and I followed after him, and she was on the floor, died on the floor there.
And she was dying.
She died.
She died.
She died. Yeah.
And dare I say, what was the cause of her death?
Heart attack.
She had a heart attack.
Yeah, she had a heart attack.
And how old was she, may I ask?
She was 76.
And
Yeah.
she's still in today's modern day, still a fairly young age.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. So yeah.
So, all of that's happening. Gosh, you talk about 3 buses coming at once. So you had to all deal with the arranging the funeral and.
Yes, I had to call the ambulance, and I had to say to my sister, my mum's had a fall, and then she could come down because you cannot say the word "mum's died." Can you come down?
Yes,
and she's going to be driving.
Yes.
I have to use my words correctly.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the ambulance came, and they sort of seen how I am because I had no hair. I knew that I'm getting over a cancer, and they sort of looked after me and looked after my mum and took over everything, which I didn't have to.
Yes.
They could just do the job with my mum and then go. But they looked after me, and when my sister came, they made sure they told my sister except me, instead of me doing it. They told my sister.
Well, that's big up to the National Service in that instance, so for them to show such empathy, such care, such compassion.
Ambulance service are.
Yes. I'm going to take you back one stage.
Okay.
The incident started with the boy sort of holding your breast tightly. Were you not of an age whereby some women have what we call ever so often a regular mammogram? Were you having those at all?
Every 3 years.
Oh, it's every 3 years.
Yes, every
you
3.
were having it. Okay.
But it wasn't me having it done. I had it done before, and then I was all right.
And they said you don't need to have one
I
now.
didn't want it. Yeah.
Done for 3 years hence.
Yeah.
Right. And that was all right. So you thought, we'll leave it. But so the chances are we have. But although it was one breast that did he squeeze both breasts or the
No,
one?
he viced onto one. This is a young man that can break leather.
Right.
Yeah.
So this all happened. It started in 2012.
Yes.
And I remember 2012. 2012 was the London Olympics.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that struck in my mind straight away.
Yeah.
You had the death of your mother, and up until this time, what were you in terms of? Were you a health conscious person?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that cake and chocolate. I'm not that health conscious at that time.
Right.
Yeah. Still aren't.
But it must have brought about some changes in terms of your healthy lifestyle, diet, and so on.
Now, I still eat cake, But
you are allowed to have a bit of cake now and again, you know. Christmas is coming, you must have some Jamaican Christmas cake.
Yes.
And I certainly will be.
Yum yum.
But what I'm making is, you cannot have cake, which you would know anyway, every day. Some people will have too much of one thing, good for nothing, is what my grandmother used to say.
I like to have a balanced meal.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
what
to
I
have,
want to hear.
I like to have a balanced meal. Sometimes I like to have a vegetarian meal.
Mm-hmm.
I like my choice,
Mhm.
or I like to have chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's my choices. Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's good to hear, because
Yeah.
that healthy, balanced meal
And
is
have
so...
your fruits.
And your fruits
Mhm.
and your vegetables.
Yes, right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And let me just take you through then. What about liquids? Are you having lots of tea or coffee or fizzy pop or water?
Water. I don't drink. I don't drink tea or coffee.
That's good.
Yes.
Neither do I.
I don't drink tea or coffee. I like peppermint now and again.
Right. Mhm.
I like chocolate drink
Right. Yes.
with
yes.
no milk and no milk, just
Right.
plain.
That's just on its
Dark.
own plain. Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you're having water. Well, let me ask you, what does water do for you? Why are you going for water, and
It
more
flushes
water?
out all the toxins in your body.
Oh, you need to do the training, and I sit down and listen to you, because it's exactly right.
Okay.
Water flushes out all the toxins and poisons in your system.
Yes.
Absolutely. Keeps the kidneys in good working order, functioning. And I can't but stress that. And you've said that well, Hilma. I couldn't have said that better myself.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So, I mean, I imagine, just like me, who drinks a lot of water as well, you then have to go to because it's flushing out, you have to go to the toilet.
Yes.
But so what? Big deal. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I say to my viewers and listeners, and when I do my training out there, is you can't be going to bed at 10 o'clock and at 9:30 drinking lots of liquid, because it's guaranteed it will interfere in your beauty sleep. You have to have a cut-off point at
Yes.
least sort of 2 hours before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
We're on the health agenda at the moment. With all that you've been having, you do go for walks with your husband in the woods, not far from your home. Is there anything else you do to keep mind, body, and soul ticking over?
Exercise.
physical
Well, I
activity.
do lots of walks. I do over 50-mile walks a week.
Hang on. Rewind.
Yeah.
50 miles
Over 50
every week.
Every week, yes.
Wow.
Last week I did
Wow.
50, and the week before I did 68.2 miles.
So let me ask you, how you know you're doing 50 and 60?
I got my
Fitbit?
phone.
Oh, you have your phone.
Yes,
right.
I have my phone.
And,
Yeah.
and your iPhone tells you how many you've done.
Yes.
And this is, wow. Yeah. I hope the viewers and listeners are hearing this, because this is what I am trying to encourage people. Open spaces, green spaces, parks, what have you.
Yes.
The more walking. And it costs you anything?
Nothing.
Thank you.
It costs you nothing.
Thank you.
I don't go to the gym anymore.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I walk in the rain. I walk in, in windy. I will still walk.
Right.
Yes.
So from that end, the pandemic, although it's closed down the country for a while, it hasn't impacted and affected you in terms of your walks. You're still
I'll
able.
do more.
Yes. Because I say, and I'll look at them, your feet were made for walking.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I know you've been to one of my training events where I have mentioned these things, because so let me ask you then, Hilma, do you use the lifts and the travelator and the escalator? I want viewers and listeners to hear this.
I make sure I use the stairs.
Thank you.
I make sure, even if I get one thing from downstairs and get back upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
I make sure I leave something else for me to run downstairs to go and get.
Right.
But the girls at work, they don't understand,
Mm-hmm.
but I understand.
But they need to understand, and I hope you show them this program, because you show me a normal home where we live in, where we have something called a travelator,
No.
or a lift, or escalators. We don't. So why, when we go to offices and buildings and hospitals and supermarkets, why do we gravitate towards these man or woman made devices?
I think it's easy access. It's just easy access to people. They don't want
Well-
to use the stairs. They don't want to find the stairs.
Mm.
What do you think?
I think of when I was growing up in Jamaica, we used to have to walk far to school and go down hills and valleys and so on, which is why I like the concept of you doing all of this walking in even in the cold weather and so on.
I do. What else do I do? I do Qigong walk as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So the Chikang, what is that? The one that Colin Sims is involved in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You want to tell us a bit more? Explain that a bit more about that.
No. I do it with Colin.
Colin, right?
And I do it by myself.
Right.
And it just calms me
sit
down.
down.
It calms me right down,
Mhm.
and I feel very relaxed.
Right.
So relaxed.
Mm.
Tears are coming down my eyes.
Mm.
I don't know why,
Mm.
but I'm just so relaxed.
Relax.
Yes.
I'm going to mention something. Some might say it's a bit of a controversial issue, but I go all over the place within Britain. I'm talking, and even within Birmingham here. I'm seeing you because where you're walking is Wolverhampton. I see a lot of Asian people of every age, from the young cradle to the grave, going for their walks. Hilma, I very rarely see, and other friends of mine also notice that I very rarely see African Caribbean people out there walking. Why do you think that is?
There are some that walks.
Mhm.
Probably about 2%. That maybe more that walks. I do see some, not as much as the white community or the Asian community, but they are there walking.
Because leading the sedentary couch potato lifestyle is no good for them. You need the movement.
They've got to move. You've got to move.
And I am impressed with that. All right, we've talked enough. When we leave, we're all going to start walking. Hilma's converted us to doing 15 miles every week. Tell me about your hobbies. Apart from walking, what other hobbies or pastimes do you have?
Boxing. And
You're talking Muhammad Ali type, George Foreman type boxing?
Yeah, I've got my gloves, yes. Boxing, I love it, and I like self-defense as well.
So, I'm now in lockdown, but under normal circumstances,
We haven't done it. I haven't done it yet. But I haven't done it right now because of lockdown.
No, but where do you normally?
I do it in Wolverhampton. Yes, in Wolverhampton. Yeah.
And are you boxing men or boxing women? Competing against women?
I would box man and woman. Yeah. I like to box with the men.
But considering, I'm thinking of you've had cancer of the breast and the issues surrounding that. Are you wearing protective garbs or coverings to prevent anybody hitting your breasts? That worries me that you're doing boxing considering what you've been through.
I don't wear any protections around there.
But
don't really get hit there. But
where are they supposed to hit you?
They're usually my face. But yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But you must be a very good holding your because you don't have any bruises or battering on the face.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never met somebody not of your age anyway. The only boxer I know is Nicola Adams, I think she is, who is quite a famous boxer within Britain.
Yes. Yes.
So when did you take up that sport?
It's been 2 years now. Yeah,
Really?
2 years.
And what exactly does it do for you?
It gives me a buzz.
Right.
I love it because it makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel protected when I go outside because I do a lot of walking,
Right.
as you know.
Okay.
It's the self-defense one is brilliant,
Okay.
and I feel more confident when I go out there and I'm doing self-defense
Right.
to protect me.
Yes, I'd agree with you on that score.
Yes.
Yes. As a woman out there,
Yeah.
you need to, in this day and age, have some form of whether karate or boxing or kung fu to
Just basic awareness of what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And apart from boxing, anything else? Any other hobbies or pastimes?
No, I think I don't remember. I can't remember.
Right. Okay. I presume, forget lockdown, but there are how many grandchildren altogether?
6.
6. Surely you must spend quality time with them under normal circumstances.
Normal says yes. I do, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what ages do they range from, the youngest to the oldest?
15
Is it?
down to 7 months.
All right. So
Yeah.
one's just born during this whole pandemic.
Yes, yeah.
And I presume you've seen that one?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So the grandchildren keep you busy as well, which is pleasing to hear.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Let me ask you about your diet. Diet before your situation in 2012 and all that being due, and your diet now? What's the difference diet wise?
I'm eating more healthier now than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
More greenery,
Mm-hmm.
more lentils,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, more of those. Then more than having lots of starchy food,
Right. Mm-hmm.
sweets, cakes, chocolates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I used to live on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not live on, but
Right,
used to have
yes.
more of
More of
those.
it, yes.
Lots of takeout foods. You know,
Mhm.
greasy foods. You know, but
Mhm.
not anymore like that. No.
Yeah. So
I'm not saying I don't have it. I'm just saying it's very reduced.
just now, yes. So you're putting out a clear message to the black community that we need to look at this whole heap abundance of starchy food, carbohydrates, and
Yeah.
the fry-ups that we have, and so on,
Yes.
and
yes.
go for the more vegetables and fresh fruits and so on,
Yes.
which is where I'm at. So we're on the same page. Yes, I'll go back to Michelle saying Tony, because Michelle knows what I'm about. And she says, Tony, you will like Hilma because she does the things that you do.
Okay.
And you're proving, she's been proven right. Uh-huh. Are you a woman of faith, Hilma? And if so, how does that help you, or has that helped you in terms of your survival with breast cancer?
Yes, I'm a woman of faith. When I was going through breast cancer, at the time I was waiting to be told I had breast cancer at the hospital. My bishop was already there for another reason with his wife. It's absolutely brilliant. He was there for me. I feel like he was there for me.
Right.
I had lots of blessings. And when I had the cancer, my breast removed and I was home recovering, every sister in my church, they brought me food every single day to save me from cooking. You know,
Wow.
they wanted me to rest, which is really good.
Good.
Yeah.
Lovely community spirit there.
Absolutely.
Church family.
Yeah.
Rallying around a sister is unwell and so on.
Yes.
I have to ask. I'm a man, so I'm gonna ask.
Mhm.
You said your sisters in the church came and brought food for you. So what happened to your dear husband? In can't cook?
He did the breakfast and the lunches, but they did the dinner for us.
Okay.
Yes.
He'll watch this program and he'll say, "What's that guy Tony Kelly asking my wife about?" Because there's this thing about some men aren't really good around the kitchen and so on. But
Yeah.
he played his part as well.
Yes, he did, yes.
And your husband's name is?
John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good up on you, John. I mean that in the best possible way, John. All right. Now, for somebody who's been through, as I say, cancer, recovering, survived, what would you say is the highlight of your life to this point?
Well, we went on a cruise
Mm-hmm.
when I was 50. Went on a cruise ship. It was brilliant. Went to the Caribbean cruise.
Mm-hmm.
My family has been the highlight as well. My children, my grandchildren have been the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
People who have been there for me who I would never thought they would be, caring for me, you know, yeah.
That's we've just interviewed somebody before, and we won't spoil their program because I won't bother to. But for her, it's her family and others around her. So actually restoring your faith in human nature, and that's nice to hear. It's not about the material things in life, but friendships and family,
Absolutely.
and being there for you. And that's nice to hear, Hilma,
Yeah.
that you've come with the same take as she did. So, moving forward, is there any advice you would want to share with viewers and listeners who, in terms of regularly examining their breasts for unusual signs and symptoms that, hey, this isn't looking too right, or so on? I leave the floor open to you.
Okay. What I had was called lobular breast cancer, which is the cells in the milk duct that leads out from, for breastfeeding and that. That's where my cancer started. Always check your breast. Once a month, check your breast. In the bath shower, just check your breast. And not only women, men as well, because men do get breast cancer. So I need for you to check. Just rub your hands across gently to get to know the feel of your breast or your chest. Just check it every month, right? And if you see it, if you find any symptoms like it's lumpy or dimply or my nipples went inwards, just go and see your GP. Go and see your GP. Don't just leave it. Go and see your GP, man or woman. Go and see your GP, yeah? And they will take it from there. They'll take it from there, and you'll go to the hospital, and they'll sort you out, right? Just take that first step, and that everything will follow. But always, always check your breast. Make sure it's okay. Get to know them. Yes? That's what I'm saying.
That's very good to hear, Hilma, and I'm glad you mentioned men within that, because some men do end up getting cancer of the breast.
Yes.
It's rare, but it does happen,
no.
and it's about being macho, being manly, and saying, hey, I better go. If in doubt, check it out.
Absolutely.
Because men on the whole, I say it all the time in the training that I do, health and well-being training, is men are not in touch with their feelings or their emotions. Men tend to suffer in silence and are into denial. And it's too embarrassing. I can't go and speak to my GP, man or woman, about it. But you've given a very good, sound piece of advice there for both men and women
Yes.
to take on board.
Yes.
So it's so important.
Just check, feel. I felt a lady. If you don't want to feel it yourself, have someone to feel it for you.
Right.
You know, like looked after a lady, and I've washed her, and I can feel a lump, and she had the same as me. So she's had it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A knight in shining armor here. This is Mary Seacole coming to the fore. Okay. Hilma, we're coming to the end. I found your journey fascinating. So I want you to end now with some final thoughts as to how I want you to give, specifically to the black community, because this is a black TV show, and we're aiming to get the message out there, health and well-being, to young black people as well, middle-aged and elderly. You've been through quite an experience, and having to come to terms with it. What final thoughts would you want to leave with the viewers and listeners of Birmingham's Breakthrough TV, our Health is Our Wealth show?
Okay, my final thought is, if you want to do caring like I did, you know, whether it's young people, elderly, or children, you know, you will get the training for it, and it's a rewarding job. It's absolutely rewarding, caring for people and loving people. That's my final thoughts.
I like that, because one never knows. People are getting old, people come up with disabilities and ailments and so on.
Yes.
And somebody has to be there to look after and care for them.
Yes.
Which is what we've seen happen within the residential homes, the care homes, etc.
I want the young ones to care for the elderly. I want them to, you know, respect them as well, you know, because some of them don't.
I like that. No, I got a very serious point you mentioned
some
about.
of them don't.
Yes, yes. Young people need to show RESPECT, respect for their elders.
Yeah.
In our days of growing up, we certainly did.
Yes.
And yes, we're getting into that elderly category now. Young people need to realize that, and I have to applaud you for saying that.
Thank you.
Hilma,
yes,
it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
I loved it.
You've enlightened us in terms of the whole issue surrounding your health, wealth, especially breast cancer, which I'm assuming as well there are lots of men and women out there who need to take on board the advice you've given and act upon it. You are a living example of somebody who has recovered from it, is still getting on with your life, and not making it get you down. And with your grandchildren and your children and your husband, long may you continue to be a source.
I'm still under the hospital.
Yes, I would imagine so. One has to be. But you're vibrant and really full of life and so on. And that's to be applauded. Thanks so much for coming on our Health is Our Wealth show. It's been a pleasure hearing about your journey. And I'm sure viewers and listeners will think so too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks to our sponsors, the Afro-Caribbean Millennium Center on Dudley Road, New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Media Studios, and Breakthrough TV.